All right, guys. Dreadnought's back today with another review, and we're going to be looking at Star Wars The Black Series Guavian Enforcer. I hope I'm saying that correctly, from the new Force Awakens movie. Not much new on the package, what we've come to expect in these waves. Nice little artwork here on the bottom, not much going on the side over here. And then there's a look at the other side with the figure number 8. And there's a look at the bio on the back, and you can pause it and read it if you'd like to do so now. So let's crack this bad boy open and get a look at it. And here's our Enforcer out of the package and looking pretty cool overall, I got to say. I was really hesitant to actually review this figure because it just doesn't say Star Wars to me like some of the other characters and figures we've seen so far. This actually looks like, to me, like a Marvel villain or something, a robot, or something from an X-Men comic. But I have to say now, getting him out of the package, whether he's Star Wars or not, he's a very cool figure. And not having any kind of predisposition on what the character is or knowing anything about the character, I've actually just really had fun playing around with the figure. So I gotta say, from that standpoint, I really enjoyed it. But definitely looking cool overall. Definitely has a different look to it. So let's take a closer look at the articulation in detail. And getting a closer look at the head sculpt here. Just so bizarre. I really don't know what to make of this character, but it's so cool. I have to say, for an original character, it's so different. It looks to be robotic, but maybe that's a mask, but it almost looks like wires in there broken up and kind of beat up. But then there's some crosshatch that looks very uniform at the top. Of course, the hole here in the middle of the front of the head, and the red dot has some silver paint apps across there. And then looking around at the back, it does look robotic. It has some very nice ribbing on the neck, and then a nice pattern here on the back of the head. Some nice lines sculpted in. Paint's very clean. There's a little bit of chipping here on the head, but overall it looks clean. And then as we get down into the body, it has a nice looking shoulder pad and only red lines here. Not sure why he doesn't have them in these other spots. I'm assuming that's designed. And as we look down through the chest, you can see some nice lines sculpted in through here, and just some nice detail. I like that color red, and then the black wash over it and all the wrinkles sculpted in. Just very different from anything we've seen in Star Wars, really. And then some kind of shoulder or upper shoulder pad here. More wrinkles on the arm sculpted in. Some weird design here on the gauntlet on the hand. And these gloves, I really like the look of them. That pattern that they went through with the texture and some pads through there. And then looking at the inside of the glove, same thing carries through over here. Same thing on this hand over here, except for doesn't have the bizarre pattern. You can see a little bit of red that bled over. But then this shoulder over here has a red line in it. And then these pouches on the front, very cool overall. Has these big round red circles, just look really cool. Like, don't know what they're for, but they definitely look cool, and they're only on the first two pockets. Lots of different straps and belts here, around the waist, and that just looks really cool. Lots of nice little silver paint apps in there. Looks really detailed. As we look through the legs, that same black wash and wrinkles sculpted in, and then the lines, and there's even some texture on the suit, as you can see there, just looking really cool. And then around on the side, some more pouches sculpted in. That's got this box here, and there's some red, bleed over on there, but this red hose coming down into this knee pad, which is weird, and looks kind of bizarre as well. Maybe some kind of robotic joint there, who knows. And then looking around at the back, you can see that pattern through the butt of the figure and through the back. Looks like like a circuit board or something. So definitely has a very robotic look to the character. Whether they are or whether they aren't, I don't know. Nice pattern here on the back of all those belts and stuff, and they do move around. And then through the boots, some nice texture on the back as well. And I like the two-tone they went with. It's like a gray here, and really can't tell, but it's like a black and gray in here. It looks like metal mesh almost, which looks really good. And then this is all padded on the front of the boots and down through the bottom of the boots here. and does have peg holes and even has some tread sculpted around the edges there. So looking really, really cool overall. All right, and as we look at articulation, has some very good head movement. Can move up all the way that far. Just makes me want to get him in a flying position. Taking off. Anyway, sorry. It does move down a good bit, almost to bury all the way in the chest. Rotates him around very well. And actually has a little bit of face turn pivot to it. You can get in there. So that's really cool. The arm does rotate around, but it's hindered by the shoulder pad, so it can move out that far. And you can rotate it underneath the shoulder pad like so and get it to go all the way around. It does have single jointed elbows, which sadly is a common occurrence now on Black Series figures. Does rotate at the elbows. Has wrist swivel, and there is a hinge on the wrist. Doesn't allow a whole lot of movement, but it does move. Doesn't have ab crunch, but it has a diaphragm rotation right in there, which is a little bit weird. Doesn't allow for a whole bunch of movement. No waist rotation, of course. The hips will move out, but you kind of have to work these belts up, and they do move fairly easy. But once you do, you can get the hips out a good bit. Does have upper leg rotation here, and they don't really kick out a whole amount. Don't really move back either that much, so limited on that. Double jointed knees like we've seen before, which is really good, and they're a little rubbery, but you can get them back, you know, a decent amount. No calf cut, and then at the foot it does have the hinge that moves down. No rotation, but it does have that rocker that we all like. And taking a look at his accessories here, comes with two guns. The first one looks pretty cool here, has some nice detail sculpted in it. You know, it's a bizarre looking gun, but overall I like it. Has a little bit of silver dry brushing over it to give it a little bit of a metallic look. That looks pretty cool overall. These are very rubbery on this figure, the guns are. So that's a little bit weird. Also comes with this one, which I like a little bit better. I wish the spool clip or whatever underneath here had a little more detail sculpted in, or maybe a different color. But it's still cool overall, I guess. You know, a little bit of detail sculpted in here. This one got more silver dry brushing on it, so it looks good. Gives it a metallic look. You know, overall looks pretty clean. Looks nice. Just too much plastic, you know, overlay under here and around the front. You know, the barrel's not truly defined, so, you know, but okay overall. They fit into his hands very well. I believe this one's meant for this hand because it almost fits perfectly. They are rubbery, so you kind of have to work them in. His finger doesn't want to go in, you know, automatically, but you can get it in, and once you do, it looks pretty good in there. And then the other one seems to go in this hand because of the way it's molded, and it goes in there great, and he holds both of them really nice. Alright, and here's our Enforcer next to Poe and Ray, and you can see he's almost in scale with Poe Dameron here, measuring in at about 5 3/4 there, a little bit taller than Ray. And here's our Enforcer, not taking any crap off Vader and Phasma over here on the left. You can see he really dwarfs in comparison to these two baddies here. Up next, here he is compared to a couple Guardians of the Galaxy. And I thought he just kind of blended with these guys. I was actually looking for a couple of X-Men in my display to put in the video. And I spotted my movie Guardians, and I thought he just kind of blended, at least in my opinion, with these guys. You know, can anyone say Guardians Star Wars crossover? Alright, and wrapping up, overall I got to say, you know, I have no idea about this character, if he's going to be cool or not. You know, I really don't know whether I should be troop building these guys, if there's going to be a ton of them in the movie. I just know so little, it's very hard to base anything around the character. You know, is the figure movie accurate? Who knows? I don't know. But from the figure standpoint, I really like it. I think it's cool, and it's amazing how much, without the predisposition of knowing anything about the character, how fun it makes playing with the figure. You know, just playing around during this review, I had a blast with him. Because, honestly, you know, you can use your imagination at this point because you don't know anything, you know, unless you've watched some spoilers, which I hadn't. But, you know, just grading it on the figure alone, I think he's a buy. I think he's definitely very cool. Has some nice sculpting, some very nice detail in it. Other than the few places where I got a little paint rub down here and on the arm, the paint was very clean on the figure overall. You know, and I just like the attention to detail in it. Hasbro did a good job. You know, it is lacking the double jointed elbows, which, you know, I don't know what's going on with Hasbro and why all these waves, you know, that are surrounding Force Awakens or everything we've gotten recently do not have double jointed elbows. You know, if anybody's watching that has any connections with Hasbro, we'd love an answer, I'm sure. My only real gripe about the figure is some of the joints get a little bit loose on mine. This foot, for example, gets a little bit loose and can present a problem when posing him sometimes. So, you know, other than that, you know, overall, I have to rate the figure a buy. He's fairly easy to pick up. I just seen, you know, 2 or 3 of these guys in my local Toys R Us. I think you can get them on Amazon, you know, and even Walmart.com and plenty of others right now. So he's fairly easy. I would say, you know, after Phasma, he's probably the hardest to get under Phasma from the wave. But if you're really looking and hunting, you can find this guy for a decent price without any problems. So, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, please give me a big thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Plenty more content coming. Plenty more Star Wars content coming down the road. So definitely tune in for that. Facebook, Twitter, Toy Art links in the description below as always, so please check us out there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hey, we'll see you soon.
I may have one eye, but I got 2 guns for each of you.